first video. First video. What it feels like to what it feels like to die, I guess.
Feel like to die? It's a question that many are curious, if not a little scared about, but scientists are now closer than ever to understanding what actually happens while you're dying.
Wait a minute. People are studying what it feels like to die. How do they even figure that out for real? Like, has somebody died and came back and said, "Hey, yo, this didn't feel too great. It felt like this." Is that what you're telling me right now? Somebody did that?
Recently,
What's the
researchers
research?
studied the brains and bodies of dying people to gain new insight into what it feels like as you die. First up, relaxation. A recent
Relaxation?
meta-analysis found that most people in the Western world will die in medical institutions where the first sign of death is a loss of hunger and thirst. Physicians call this the beginning of active dying, and it is caused by an intense feeling of relaxation where you will likely only be capable of handling small spoonfuls of food and water. Step 2 of death, extreme fatigue and unconsciousness. One study found that 72% of patients in this phase of death reported pre-death dreams involving reuniting with people who had already died. 59% said that they dreamed about getting ready to travel somewhere, and 28% dreamed of meaningful experiences from their past.
Okay. So we've seen this in movies, like they reunited with people who are already dead. So we've seen that in movies, man. It's just like, oh man, how you doing, man? You been dead for a long time. I'm gonna come see you. I'm gonna come see you. We gonna hang out. We gonna chill. You know what I'm saying? And they're gonna be like that. They reunite with they dead friends, they dead peoples. You know what I'm saying? I think that's kind of clean. That's kind of cool. You hanging out with somebody who's already gone, bro. You gonna see them soon. It's like, hey, I think that's nice. Then you got 59% talk about they gonna travel somewhere. Yeah, you traveling somewhere. You either gonna go up or you gonna go down, bro. Hopefully you going up. Pray for times like that for real. And then meaningful experience. I think that's just I hope like whenever it's like meaningful experiences, like you don't end up regretting not doing it a little bit more. Like you like spending time with family. Like you about to die, but like you go into a flashback where you're like, huh, I should have did this more. Hopefully people don't feel like that whenever they are dying.
These pre-death dreams are happening
Because right now, all he's telling us is just pros right now. He's just telling us pros. Now, what are the cons?
but this time you are mostly asleep and even dipping into unconsciousness. This means that if someone tries to physically wake you up, nothing will happen. The thing is, studies of unconscious patients show that when they did eventually wake up from being unconscious, they thought they were only just asleep. Essentially, you are not going to be aware of going in and out of consciousness. Some reports say that this stage of dying feels a bit like when you can't get out of bed from an intense cold or flu, but when you are dying, the sleep is no longer rejuvenating and the fatigue is consistent. Because at times you are now unconscious, it's harder to plan for oral medications, so at this point you might be hooked up to syringe pumps or suppositories in order to get oral medications or dying aids before death.
Wait a minute. Let me go back real quick. Let me go back real quick.
Or flu, but when you are dying, the sleep is no longer rejuvenating and the fatigue is consistent. Because
So what he just said
when
right
you are
here,
dying, the
that's
sleep
just
is
our
no
lives
longer
right now.
rejuvenating and the fatigue is consistent.
So, okay, you're unconscious, and then you wake up like you had a cold flu. I mean, I don't really know like that, but look, I'm just gonna say this is how all of us feel right now, in like the Gen Z stage. This is how all of us feel right now. Okay, the sleep is never rejuvenating. You always wake up tired. You know, you wake up like I was just asleep, and you still tired. The constant fatigue, it's still there. You still feeling fatigued, you still feeling tired. You got to get up and go to work in the next day. Rinse and repeat. That's just Gen Z, my boy. I don't think dang, what are we dying? Are we actually dying right now? You telling me that Gen Z is all dying right now? Because this is how all of us feel right now. Just not the cold flu, possibly. I don't know. Not me though, but sleep is never rejuvenating and it's always constant fatigue. You wake up and you still tired. Can't do nothing about it.
Because at times you are now unconscious, it's harder to plan for oral medications. So
does that mean that like our childhood is just dead? Is that what it is? Or is our childhood dying? Maybe. I don't know.
At this point, you might be hooked up to syringe pumps or suppositories in order to get oral medications or dying aids before death. Step 3 of death, seeing light. At this point, studies show that your heart will beat less
I see a
forcefully,
ring light.
your blood pressure will fall, and your organs, including your brain, will function less. Essentially, your brain is trying to conserve energy as it slowly dies, and this causes your brain to lose the power of inhibition. You may have heard people talking about seeing the light or moving towards.
I just want to say I like videos like this where they'll talk about things and like it's mostly like them drawing it. They're drawing it out on like a dry erase board with a dry erase marker. It just looks so fun. It looks so fun to make videos like this, and I'm like, wow, I wish I could do stuff like this. But I mean, I probably could. But then it'd be like something like, what would I talk about? What would I do? What would I say? I don't want to do like something that's like a draw my life or something like that. I don't want to do nothing like that though.
The light during
Not in
near-death
the slightest.
experiences. Brain studies on rats show that a dying brain's lack of inhibition causes the visual brain system to fire. This has also been found in some human studies as well, which may explain why many people report this phenomenon of
nostalgic.
seeing light as their brain begins to die. Step 4 of death, scary breathing. Known as the death rattle, an unconscious person's breathing still follows the automatic patterns generated by the respiratory system of their brain. But they don't have proper awareness of their mouth and throat, so saliva builds up. The saliva in the back of the throat, mixed with the automatic quick breaths, creates loud breathing noises that many people will observe as disturbing, but it's important to note that the person dying is actually feeling no distress. In fact, the
They're not?
reason that this is happening to the dying person is because physiologically they are so relaxed. Step 5 of death, brain surging. A 2013 study on rat brains dying from cardiac arrest found that specific brain regions surged with
Dang, rats. Imagine you just seeing Master Splinter just right in front of you having a dang on heart attack like, what are you gonna do, man? What do you have? High cholesterol? You ate too much bacon, ate too much pork or something? Too much fried foods? Ain't drinking enough water? Ain't drinking enough water, Master Splinter, man. You live in a sewer,
synchronized
you ain't
low
drinking enough water.
gamma waves more coherent than when the rats were alive and healthy. The brain waves were similar
Turtles
to
can't
when
help
rats
them
were
from that.
engaged in high-level cognitive activity. This, of course, got researchers interested in what's happening to our brains as we die as well. In
Right.
humans, a study on 567 dying men and women had their brains scanned as they were being resuscitated with CPR. It turns out that, like the rats, the brains fired in intense ways, and those who survived the CPR reported lucid experiences such as perception of separation from the body, observing events with no pain or distress, a meaningful evaluation of their life, and assessing their own actions towards others throughout their life. This
So their life flashed before their eyes, and they had an out-of-body experience. Interesting. Hold on. So basically, you just lucid dreaming the entire time, whenever like somebody's giving you CPR. Oh, okay.
is again all
Nice.
likely linked to the disinhibition of our brain as we die. It was also found that this disinhibition caused the part of
But then I feel like if you have like an out-of-body experience, like you can't feel anything, right? You can't feel what's going on, or do you just? How far can you wander whenever you have an out-of-body experience, or like lucid dreaming? How far can you wander? I mean, lucid dreaming, you can do whatever you want technically, but I don't think I ever had a lucid dream and actually remembered what's going on. But like when you're dying, you're in a constant state of lucid dreaming or out-of-body experience. Or is that only whenever it's just you getting CPR and you survive the CPR? Okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm just yapping too much.
the brain
Oh well.
involved in memory to light up, allowing some people to access stored memories, while other patients, when resuscitated, couldn't remember anything that had just happened to them, even though brain scans showed that their brains were firing in uninhibited, active ways. Some of these patients reported knowing that they were dying, but also that they were going towards a place that felt like home. One other study of a man's brain while dying found that his brain activation was similar to people who were on the psychedelic drug DMT. But more recent studies found resuscitated dying people reported that what they had experienced right before death felt different than hallucinations, illusions, or even dreams. But what are people thinking about?
Oh, it felt like real life. Yeah, I think it really just got to do with something like whatever. I feel like death probably just gonna be like it's just gonna. It just depends on what you believe, bro. Like what are you gonna see? What's gonna happen to you after you die? You know what I mean? The after death experience. What's gonna happen right there? Me, I personally feel like you either go to heaven or hell, or you know wherever you feel like you're most comfortable and where you would possibly go whenever you die. Some people believe it's just pure darkness forever after you die, which I'm like that's kind of scary, which I don't want to think that way. Or they go somewhere that or they get reincarnated. Some people feel like that they go through that. Maybe you do. I don't know. But it's just dependent on what you believe, and who cares what you believe? Who cares what I believe? You know what I'm saying? It's just like, you gonna do you. You gonna do you regardless. You feel me? All right. Next video.